Morning, Wednesday, Parshas Tazriya. Our shir from yesterday. As we discussed earlier, before in our first shiurim, that in truth, when a person, when it comes to this world, he's technically powerless, very limited, more limited than any other creations, more limited than animals and tigers, monkeys. We see it's a fact, because when a tiger is born, a lion, the child in literally a few days, he already can't, he's able to take care of himself. He's able to hunt and, to feed himself, to walk, to stand, being certain concrete and certain yitziv, he has certain ground, and he's grounded. Versus the people and the day when they're born, they're really powerless. They can't stand on 2 feet. It's a krich, and it's a crawl, and you have to feed him. You need to take care of him till it takes years until the human being is developed. So that's the major difference. That's the major difference between human being and animals. Although the whole world was created for human being, but human being is the most undeveloped creation in the world. Less than the animals, and physically the animals are more developed than human being. But so looks like that physicality of human being is not the pride. It's not human pride. What human pride is intellectuality, as we call this nefesh abahami and nefesh asichle, rochni. What the pride of human being is not nefesh abahami, because if the person will focus on the nefesh abahami, his nefesh abahami is less developed, has less groundancy versus the nefesh than the Bahaim itself. What the pride of human being is intellectuality. It is seichel, it is neshama, that's his brain. That's the beauty that's the crown, that's the pride, that's the ego of human being. And that's with the intellectuality, human being is excelling over the animals and any other creations. So, but still the human being has that nefesh abahami, has an animalistic part in himself, which is not developed. So this not being developed, because the human being is not developed in the first days of his life, it really gives that creates a subconscious that's called function, that he really helpless. The human life he's always doubting. His whole being, it depends on outside sources, and outside support, and outside care, and that's the goals all. That's the goals all across his life, and this was specially ingrained in human being. Human being feels within his nefesh bahami, is an animalistic part of human being. Really, it's more alert, and with this concept, more in tune. This concept that I need outside sources to support me, to hold me, to care for me. And what's the reason? In fact, it's the level of the need. It's way higher than animals. Animals, an animal is an animal. The animal does not think, does not have that crave and that understanding that I'm needy. I need to come to outside sources to support me, to feed me, to care for me. Is an animal. The Ben Adam, human being, has that conscious and has that understanding, which I need to be supported by others. I need to be dependent on others. The reason for it is why Hashem installed a tendency, that's a very strong tendency of depending on someone and outside sources, is because we need to channel our dveikus to Ribono Shel Olam. This feeling of depending on someone and leaning on someone and putting yourself on someone, it's very natural feeling. You can't get rid of it. It was designed for human being to have it. So we are channeling that dependency, that that leaning on, that needed to have outside to support us towards Hashem. And that's the bitochen. Bitochen is hashlach al Hashem Yehovcho. You should throw yourself, you should depend on Ribono Shel Olam. The Agdora, the definition of bitochen is to understand you're not independent, you're depending on Hashem. Channeling your dependency, your weakness of depending on someone towards Hashem, and that someone should be Hashem, not other people. However, that's more of an adult language. A child at the first years of his life, his dependency, the need of depending on someone, depending on people around him, are very strong, very strong. That means that because his brain is not developed yet, his brain capacity is very limited, as we mentioned many times. So he does not know the channel that he's not educated yet, he's not trained yet how to channel the dependency on Hashem. So he depends on people around him, his parents, his people, close people to him. And when a child lacking is missing that feeling, that is not being satisfied, he does not see where and who he can depend on, it causes tremendous fears to a child. When child feels that I can depend on my parents, that they should take care of me, or they love me, or they appreciate me, and so forth, it creates certain fears. Even by adults, people not educated, they're not aware of bitochen, and they're not trained that they have to depend on Ribono Shel Olam only, and they have to their own matters, they have to be beiteich on Ribono Shel Olam, that Ribono Shel Olam will take care of them. So automatically they depend on someone else. Dependency, it's something you don't have to work on. But etzem bitochen is not something. It's not such a hard work. It's just channeling your dependency on Hashem. People not aware of bitochen, so depend al korcho, by force, by default, they're channeling the dependency on objects, on people, on different stuff. So that's by adult, but especially by child is not educated yet. So that means that that's how the child came to this world. Meaning, child came to this world, the whole his being, as he's thinking constantly, who I can depend on, who can provide me, who can depend on food, eating, caring, taking care of me. He can't really exist. He can't remain healthy. Let's call it. He can't remain healthy if he's missing that that clarity, where and how and who he can depend on. And it's very natural feelings. So it's very important for parents to be in tune with this concept, because we have to consciously make the child aware that you can depend on. It's like I was always saying in the Shara Bechina, that the reason it's first the child was born, he depends on his mother. He gets a little bigger, he gets the brain capacity is developing, so he depends on his father. When he becomes a grown adult, he's not depending not on his mother, not on his father, but Hashem. That's the mahala. We have to consciously make aware the kids that they can depend on us. Sometimes it's bothering parents that the child is so not independent, he's so needy, he's like after me on my back all the time. But really, it's more reject. It was more rejected. Don't provide the child that feelings that he can depend on me, on the father or mother. So there's more child it prevents the child to develop and put child in very anxious modes and very anxious, cause the child to be very anxious about his is not stable. Part of child stability is to feel that he can depend on his parents. Yet there is, as outcome of that need to be dependent on his parents, it's there is other feeling. It's child is very much is craving, is urging to be appreciated, to be embraced, to be not only about the technical part of it, giving the food, clothes. It's also about the emotional part that he wants to depend on. He wants to depend on appreciation of his parents, on confirmation of his parents, and when parents embrace the child, actually it's not the compliment. The word is not the compliment. The word is that we're embracing our kids and we're appreciating them, and we are looking after them. Let's call it, or it's confirming the child that you can depend on me, and this is it's very important to satisfy this tendency of from child to depend on his parents, because actually it helps a lot of becoming independent. There's a mahalach, as Chazal was saying, first the mother, then the father, then Hashem. If the child never felt, he never get that opportunity to be dependent on the mother, never got the opportunity to be dependent on the father, so he never got trained of depending on, so he doesn't know, he doesn't know how to depend on Hashem. So physically and emotionally, it's important for parents it's part of loving the child, to fulfill that need, to fulfill the tendency of the child, and allow him to depend on you. Don't feel bothered, don't feel disturbed. Let the nature take it part in life, and let him depend on you. Sometimes it becomes for parents a little bit hard and challenging, because the child becomes too dependent on parents. But it's with the time it will dissolve, and it will disappear. The reason why one of the sources what makes children so extremely dependent on parents is actually comes because they were lacking, and they missed that opportunity to depend on. So of course, if he was deprived of being dependent on the parent first these years, and now the parents allowing to have the dependence on him. So what happens is, it's just busting very strongly, comes across very aggressively his dependency, because he was deprived, he was stifled to express his dependency. But with the time, it's the first week or two, it becomes to attach to parents, but with the time it dissolves. But in order to avoid that extreme dependence on the parent, it's very important to provide the right amount of dependency on behalf of the child on you in the younger years of the child. Sometimes it causes even more extreme, more severe problem. Even adults, growing people, they have that strong need to depend on objects, on people, and the running. Sometimes it becomes so sticky to others, even adults. The core problem for it is also because they were never satisfied. Their dependency was never healthy, and the healthy version satisfied. And his parents, they were constantly stifled and deprived, and pushed away and rejected. So don't depend on me. Do it on your own. So it's really not appropriate behavior at the younger child. That you don't implement the child at his first years of his life that he should depend on someone else, not you, because he's your child. But as more we satisfy this dependency, and we actually inviting the child, you can't depend on me. Depend on me ask me, I'm here for you. I will provide you with food. I will provide you with clothes. It's more of a technical work. So, but it's more you give that invitation to a child to depend, and the child feels it. He gets actually more grounded in his younger years, and he begins satisfied younger years. So when he becomes a growing adult, he won't crave so much for it, and then will take place more higher level of dependency on Hashem and Betochen. As more the rule goes, as more person is dependent, as more he is seeking for kuvut. As more a person is independent, as more he is free from kuvut. Meaning to say, people who are kids are seeking for kuvut. Kuvut meaning to say respect. Respect is more of an intelligent expression, but the kuvut meaning to say they want to be taken care of, they want to be loved, they want to be appreciated, they want to be acknowledged, they want to be like a number that you look at them, you appreciate them. That's the kuvut. So as more we give them that kuvut in younger years, as less they will seek for a kuvut at their adult stage. As less kuvut we provide them and at the younger years, as more kuvut they will seek on their adult stage, and it becomes very devastated problem when the adults are very desperate, very hungry for kuvut, because really you can't create relationship with the people who are constantly just craving and they want to have kuvut. Number one problem in marriage life is because the spouse, a man or female or woman, they're one of them or both of them are urging the kuvut to get kuvut from each other. But remember, if you want to get something, you can give. If you want to get kuvut, you can provide with the kuvut. So both, when the couple are so hungry for kuvut, they can't really be. It's very hard to have a relationship with each other. And it's very hard to create a relationship with someone who is so kuvut hungry person, because the only one thing he wants from you just to give that kuvut and nothing else. You can really create a profound relationship with that kind of person. And in order to prevent our kids from having this problem, it's a pretty severe problem. It's a pretty severe problem. We think a kuvut shmeket, it's something like inappropriate something, but really in the professional world, in the psychological world, in the medical world, kuvut is a real like emotional disease that it's very hard to. There's no relationship. It's no relationship. So if you want to prevent ourselves of chas v'shalom, our kids to have this disease, emotional disease, we have to provide them with kuvut. It's very important. And it's more we provide them kuvut, is more we're satisfied than with this kuvut at younger years, by making them aware that you can depend on me and giving them as more independent they will become at the adult stage. There is difference, big nafkamina between kuvut and gaiva. If we think what's the difference between kuvut and gaiva? Kuvut is someone, both are not okay, both are not at some healthy features, but one is less than another. Kuvut is something what person is seeking, is looking, is urging from outside to confirm that he is someone. He always is outsourcing his satisfactions, meaning to say my being depends on how you view me. My simcha, my chasna will get more nicer, if there is very large a very large crowd will appear at my wedding, my simcha. My I will hold myself as a smart person only when you confirm that. So it's always looking for approvals from other people. That's the kuvut. I will be a wonderful roof if a wonderful rabbunim if I'll have a big crowd in my shul. It's always approvals from others, from outside. The kuvut is someone who starts to feel good about himself when elsewhere from outside will confirm that you're good, or he will feel loved when the big crowd will be at his wedding and at his simcha. That's the kuvut. Kuvut is to put efforts, to put very strong efforts, and to attract the positive confirmation from other people towards you. That's the kuvut. That's a very high level of dependency. You're depending all your being on someone else's confirmations, someone else's words and quotations. That's a kuvut is. It's a very high level of dependency who is pushing the person to put all his effort, all his life, neglecting close people to him just to get satisfied, just to dispute the hunger from himself to have that kuvut. It's very strong tendency of depending on. Then there's gaiva. Gaiva is totally different, opposite direction. Gaiva is a very high level of independency, meaning to say he's disputing everyone. I don't need you to confirm who I am. I don't need you to. I'll be just happy if no one appears at my simcha. I'll hold myself. I'm smart. I don't need you to confirm it. The way how the Baal Gaiva is operating, he puts himself higher than everyone, and he feels that it's kuvut for you. You depend on me. It's kuvut for you to appear at my wedding. It's kuvut for you to tell me that I'm smart. It's kuvut for you to have a relationship with me. It's kuvut for you to down by me. So it's Gaiva. It's a very, very high level, out of proportion level of independency. And dependency would person elevates himself and higher than everyone, in disputes everyone, disregards everyone's opinion, disregards everyone's beings, and he's the only one. He's the one, and everybody has that let's call it kuvut, that they're around him. So here we got two things. So kuvut is at some high level of dependency, and gaiva is a high level of independency. Both are considered as an emotional disease, and both of them a person needs to work. If we will ask which disease is more severe, which disease let's call it better, from the worst, which one is better? Of course, gaiva is better than kuvut, because gaiva be'etzem is someone who is independent, although his level of independence achieved that he starts to believe that even Hashem he's not depending even on Hashem. That's the chet of gaiva. Chet of gaiva is that he feels that he's not depending on Hashem. Therefore, the Chazal say, "Ein ani v'hi yucholu b'dira achas," because he's disputing chas v'shalom Hashem also. However, if a person will elevate himself and he will connect to the Ribono Shel Olam, and he will start to believe that I dispute everyone, everything in this world. I don't care about confirmation of anyone else. The only one I care is the Ribono Shel Olam, and I really care what the Ribono Shel Olam holds on me and no one else, and I will do what's right, what the Ribono Shel Olam tells me. I surrender myself only to the Ribono Shel Olam, and I will do things which right. That's the highest level of being Adam HaShalom. So Gaiva really is something which is Gaiva brought the person to can bring the person to Shalom Tachtis, can create serious problems. But really, the Gaiva is the path where only there Hashem, this way that's the path how a person can achieve to be connected to the Ribono Shel Olam. It's very hard to depend on people and yet depend on the Ribono Shel Olam. It's hard. So the avoid of the parent, the practical language is, it's the first years to bring the consciousness of the child and to make him aware that right now you can depend fully on me. You are depending fully on me in all the areas, and not only confirming this child, but also doing the child, the food, the clothes, and everything, and emotionally giving that kuvut to him, because dependent people with children who are dependent, they're craving for kuvut, and giving that kuvut being to say acknowledgement, appreciation, embracing him, that's the kuvut. And as more we satisfy the child, this hunger of the child in the younger years, as less hungry he will be at his adult age. So then he will become independent, which is independence, a form of gaiva, and he will channel he take this guy, will convert it to his independence and convert it to dveikis and Hashem. Opposite, if we'll neglect the child, we'll feel the child is bothering us, and I don't want the child to depend on me. Just leave me alone. You're just too sticky, and go to the mother, go to this, go to that. You're neglecting him, and what happens is you're not satisfied. He's hungry right now. This hunger does not go away. We need to satisfy this hunger. It does not go away on its own. So what happens is when the child becomes an adult, he will still, yes, he's an adult version, but his brain and his crave for kuvut is still there because they were satisfied, and that's the core. It's the core of relationship problems and different things appearing to be it's caused problems in different areas as well. So it's a natural tendencies take place in younger years. So mitzad echod, there's two stages in life. The first stage of life highly depend on the parents, and the second stage is highly independent, only on Hashem. That's how the structure goes. And so if we can't skip the stage dependency and rather go to independency, because that's the mahalach, that's the mahalach that needs to be done. And as more we give that first years the dependency to the kids, as more they become independent in their life, and it's so healthy to be independent, because if you're independent, you're free for that need to receive confirmation of people and depend on the approvals of others. You just will do things which is right, and begashmes and brachnis in all the areas. Kol tov, Bez Hashem, we'll see each other Bez Hashem on after Pesach, make shtikul hefsek, and Bez Hashem, chakusha v'sameach, kol tov everyone.